And welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show. Today we're in the entertainment industry. That's right, entertainment. And in studio, all the way from points unknown. Let's go back to points unknown. Gary, Indiana. Now where she should be, Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm going to call her by her stage name. Welcome to the stage, Miss Natural. What's going on, baby girl?
Hey Andre.
So, tell the viewers a little bit about who you are before we get into our question and answer part, because we had a decent conversation. I mean, your life is a book. Tell the viewers a little bit about it before we get into that book.
Okay. Hi everybody, I'm Natural. I'm Natural as they come on Instagram. Clairissa. Tinker is my government name, and those who know me from Gary, Indiana. But I'm Natural. I became Natural, the comedian, almost 2 years ago. I now have another stage name. I do singing. Karaoke is my thing. I love karaoke, and so karaoke built my stage presence. Before I did comedy, I did karaoke, and I'm Clairissa Maria's karaoke singer, and I'm from Gary, Indiana. I laugh a little bit because I was born into Indiana. I like the fact that I'm here now. I accept that I'm in Indianapolis, but Gary was Gary, and that's where I'm from. Michael Jackson didn't want to go back, and sometimes I think I don't either. You gonna tell no jokes, but yeah, a little bit about myself. I grew up in Gary. I left Gary in '99. I lost so many friends.
What do you mean when you say you lost so many friends?
It is back when I left in '99. We was the murder capital. Gary, Indiana was in '96, 1996. That's when everybody started following. I lost so many friends. I started counting in '99, a little bit closer to '99, '98. I started counting. In like '99, I went to like 30 funerals of my friends I went to school with, young people, older people. All just like violence, gun violence, neighborhood turf. I feel like it was ignorant because no one owned nothing with their name. No one owned houses. We were young. We was in high school.
How old were you when all this pandemonium was taking place in Gary?
I was 96. I had a son. I was 21. I had my first kid. I was 17.
People were dying just like that?
It was gun violence everywhere. I'm literally baby mama or someone involved in racketeering and gun violence.
Was a lot of the violence due to what? Drugs entering the city?
I say drugs. Yeah, it was drugs. A lot of turf with drug selling, and people felt like they wanted that territory. You couldn't come in our territory. It was neighborhood crime, like neighborhoods shooting each other. I stayed in one neighborhood, the other neighborhood didn't like that neighborhood. The neighborhood I stayed in, I really dealt with people outside of my neighborhood, right. But I always faced fear. That's why this top podcast means so much to me, because I always faced it fear. Like, I wasn't afraid of things. I wanted to see things. Right. Growing up in Gary, I was curious to why it was happening like that. Like,
did your parents
help
you out and tell you why these things were happening?
Well, I'm going to say my mom and my grandma were evangelists. My grandma was an evangelist. My mom was a Sunday school teacher. They went to church. Right. They believed in the Bible. They brought me up that way. But the outside world, they kept me sheltered from. They kept me and my sister and brother. It was three of us, and my mom and my grandma. And we lived in one house in Gary, Indiana.
Right. So you really didn't have any violence in your neighborhood, but the surrounding, the boroughs.
It was in my neighborhood. The neighborhood I stayed in, the neighborhood next door, the following neighborhood over, it was all around me. In elementary school, it wasn't as bad. We had a white van running around. I forgot what we called him, but he was snatching kids. Like, what? Yeah, he was snatching kids. Our elder Coleman, it's documented and everything. A lot of things.
Where's law enforcement? I know this kind of.
Yeah, Gary.
Where's law
enforcement? They was kind of working with the crime. And when I was a teenager, and when I was grown, it was police officers. I ain't gonna say no name because they're still in the force now. But they work with the neighborhood gang guys and stuff. So
under the table
type deal. It was really Power up in Gary. Like the movie, the little sitcom Power.
When with so much going on, how did you manage to function?
I was in the church. My mom kept us. I stepped out. My mom kept me in the yard. Me and my sister. We had a gate, a little small gate. Mm-hmm. She kept us in that gate, so I was basically seeing all this, riding around, seeing people walking by. I didn't get out the yard until I was 14 years old. So I was brought up church, going to church. We had prayer meeting in our household every Wednesday. I had to come in the house. I played in the yard. My mom and grandma played softball with us. Mm-hmm. When I got older, I did softball with the kids in the neighborhood too, because that's what I knew, to bring the peace into the, just to have the kids something to do. And that's what my thing was. My mom had me in church, and that was cool and everything. I learned the Bible, but I knew that the world was bigger than what the Bible said, or what my mom said the Bible said. And I believed it somewhat, but I also wanted to know what was this out here that she wanted us to stay away from. Right. She didn't tell me what it was. She said, stay out there, don't go out there, don't. And my mom had friends at the church, but like friends come over and they sit and powwow and talk, and I didn't have that.
Where was your dad at?
My mom left my dad. They came from Mississippi. My mom and my grandma came from Mississippi, and they moved up to Chicago.
What part of Mississippi?
It sounded like Indiana, Illinois, in Mississippi. Okay. That's where they was born. My mom and grandma came up from there to Chicago. When they got to Chicago, my mom met my dad in Chicago. She had my older sister in Chicago. Because she got pregnant with me, my dad was a Rolling Stone. My dad was a big old guy. But my dad, he was a big old, when I seen my dad, I questioned my mom, like, what did you see? But the ladies loved my dad for some odd reason. My mom was she was a one-man woman. She went into a man sharing and all. She married my dad. She was married to my dad. But she left my dad when she was pregnant with me because of my dad's infidelities and couldn't stay at home, and he was a taxi cab driver in Chicago. And so my mom moved to Gary and moved in with, first we lived somewhere else, then she ended up moving there with her mom. So I always lived with my grandma.
How did you feel with no man presence in this demographics that you being brought up in this environment, with no, I guess the role models as far as men would probably be who was ever up in the church.
Yes, it was the deacons. And I was always, I pride myself in my looks, but I was always cute. Even as a little girl, I was a little girl, like, the people I always talked to and said something to in the church. So my mom tried to use the deacons as our father figures, but I've been touched. I know I'm touched by God. I can see things, and I can see people that have intentions of good things and good intentions of wrong things. So I was shy away from the men that wasn't my father, that wasn't that. But I would question my mom, like, where is my dad? He would come around once every 5 years or something. One day he gave us $1. And my grandma...
Did you say, what can I get with this?
No. I was excited because at the time I was like 5 or 6. And I was so happy about this dollar. I didn't know the value of $1. Right. But I was happy my dad finally gave me $1. I had seen him but not really been around. He gave me $1. My grandma lit me up though. She let me know then that he should have been a bigger man to give me more than $1. He ain't seen me in 6 years. That lousy $1. Suki, rest in peace. That's my grandma. She was like my dad and my grandma. She was real strong.
He's like, should have gave you a $20 bill.
Yeah, he gave me more than that big lousy $1. Ever since then, I was on my daddy. Everything he got me, I was on him. He got us a Cabbage Patch Kid. He got ours was sold and made up. But I'm from Gary. I didn't know what a real Cabbage Patch Kid was. I didn't know if folks had a name on the booty or nothing. I'm happy about this Cabbage Patch Kid.
When you get older, and you embarked on something, you knew that there was something bigger out there. I think that happens with every individual that grows up. When they get a certain age, the world becomes even bigger, and you can't contain a butterfly. They're going to eventually blossom. When you did blossom, where did your journey lead you to, and why?
Well, I started having kids at 17. Well, I had my first baby at 17. When I had her, I got pregnant at 16, so I was a 16 mom. I had her at 17. I was stuck in the dilemma of, I wasn't promiscuous, you could say. I didn't know what it was about. So when I had friends in the 6th grade having babies. in the 6th grade. So I heard in the bathroom stories about it, but my mom had me so much in church and be scared of it, so I didn't touch it then. But by the time I was 14, I'm hearing all these stories from the 6th grade. I think he was 9, 11, and 10 in the 6th grade. I can't be pregnant. How old I was in the 6th grade, but from the 6th grade to the 14th year, I think I was in 8th grade. When I finally lost my virginity, I was going into high school. And that changed me because it wasn't, I knew what my mama taught me, I knew what it was said, but I didn't have love when I lost my virginity.
What do you mean by that?
Like, I was curious. I wanted to know what he felt like versus the love it should have came from me.
Okay.
But it changed me when I had my baby. Because at this point, I'm 16 having a baby. My kid's father told me he couldn't have kids. So I knew that he could because I obviously knew who I had slept with. Like I said, I liked the sex because I went in thinking all I knew was the feeling. I didn't know the love of it. So when I got to my baby making times, I had a baby. And I had a situation where the baby was, the guy said he couldn't have a baby. Another guy said he claimed my baby just on the fact that he loved me for me.
So here's another guy that was a friend.
That was a friend.
That stepped up to
be my kid's father.
At that age.
Excuse me.
You're fine. You're fine. Let me get a napkin.
Okay, I apologize.
No, you're fine.
I did not want that to happen.
No, it's fine. We can edit that out.
I did not want that to happen. Sorry.
No, that's fine. You're gonna touch a lot of people. Yeah, my daughter, she does my editing, beautiful job. So she can slice it where you want to know. So, with that said, here's an individual, a friend, and we don't have many friends. I tell people all the time, you can count the number of friends on your hand. Everybody that lies in your face and on your social media ain't your friend. You found a friend. The guy says he's not that he can't have kids, but more importantly, with let's go back a little bit. You're young. You're in the church. You get pregnant at a young age. That had to rock. Seriously, if you're from a home of color, going out of the norm in the church is almost worse than losing $1 million.
Yes.
How did your mom and your grandmother react to the pregnancy? You had to tell somebody.
Oh, I broke my mama's heart. I really did. I didn't tell her until I went to the doctor. At this point, I started feeling some type of way. So I went on to the doctor. I went to the doctor saying I didn't feel good. All along, I kind of knew I was pregnant. I hadn't had a period in 3 months. But I didn't tell my mom. So we go to the doctor. The doctor tells my mom. And the look on my mama's face, it broke my heart because I knew I let her down. Because I hid my sexual activities. I didn't let her know I was doing it. But I broke her heart a lot of times because I would not so much run away. She would allow me to get out. Because she kept us in the gate. She really did. She tried to shelter us from what was out there. But it didn't work because I wanted to know. I needed to know what was out there. And that's the only thing I think my mom messed up a little bit. She didn't tell me what was.
Do you think your life, let me rephrase this, and this is hindsight, so nobody can even know, but do you think had your mom or your grandmother been comfortable with talking about intimacy, love, the different types of love, that maybe things would have been different? Because this is, as a former school teacher, I know certain topics are almost taboo in any culture.
Okay.
Do you think that had that been explained to you, maybe those choices may not have surfaced?
Yeah, I would have made better choices because I really listen. I listen to facts. Like, I'm a Sagittarius born, so I want the truth. And for me, I needed the truth. I didn't need the sugarcoated. Just don't go out there. I needed what's out there. If you didn't tell me, I was curious enough to go look. And when I looked, I jumped off the porch looking. And I heard all the other stories. I wanted to know, So when I got to the baby making part, I had a friend before my actual baby father, that he liked me for who I was, not just for the sexual tension that we had actually had. He had troubles and he had went to jail. He calls me up and was like, heard I was pregnant. I didn't even tell him. He heard it. God worked for me, because I had a young man telling me he couldn't have kids. Him and his daddy stood in my grandma's face because they was upset. They raised us to think that we wouldn't even supposed to have a boyfriend. So at this point, I done snuck all the way out the boundaries. They thinking I got a boyfriend all along. We just sex buddies. I'm 16 years old.
At least you keeping it real.
Yeah, we was sex buddies, you know. So, and that's at 16. So by the time I had kids, I had my daughter. My daughter was my first. She was a girl, and I knew that I didn't want my daughter to do what I did.
Right.
And I set out strong to not do that again. So at 17, I felt like I was a woman. And I had to stand on my own. I didn't care how I looked. I moved to the projects. So I literally moved to the projects in Indiana, in Gary, Indiana, way out in Miller. I stayed in one side of town. I moved way to the east side of town, somewhere I didn't know, and tried to step outside of my territory of what I did know. And I still, not knowing the guidance, not having a father figure that I can trust. My dad was there, but not really. My dad was a Rolling Stone.
How did your dad react to you being pregnant?
It's weird. I think my dad was more happy about having a grandchild than he was, because he wasn't a part of our life. So I think he was thinking like, I'll be a part of my grandchild's life. And
he can try to rectify.
Yeah, and I think he was more happy about it than he was mad about it. As I said, he really wasn't in my life, but visits. We did visit with my dad. We did spend time with my dad. But every time I was with my dad, it felt like one time I lived with my dad. He took care of my great grandfather, and my dad took care of him. He was a taxi cab driver. I became a caregiver at 17 years old. No, at that time I was like 16 years old. I was a caregiver. I hadn't got pregnant yet, 14, 15. I was a caregiver for my dad. So my dad was there for me, but still wasn't. Now he out working, but we in the same household. My little brother got into an argument with my cousin, got his neck broke in the care of with my dad. You know, so I love my dad to death. I just know he didn't know how to be a dad to us. And even when he had the opportunity, he still didn't know how to be a dad.
So how do you maneuver? How do you begin to change your life from that point? You know, the inner structure is there to some degree, but how do you, now you got a kid, how do you move on? How do you not allow your firstborn to go through what you just went through?
It was still a struggle, because I still was used to what I was used to. So daughter 1 was here. Now 2 years later, I had daughter 2. Now I'm not with father 1, because father 1 said he can have kids, and then the young man that said he would be the father, me going on the system, my mom being on the system, caused the system to get a blood test. That caused the system to question the dad, take him to court. For now, they're going for child support. It's because my mom's on welfare at the time. I was brought up very poor, man, my mom and my grandmother, but they did the best they can with us. But that caused us to get on child support. But go to court. When they go to child support, they find out the guy that's claiming my baby got her last name, signed the birth certificate, there from birth. He's not the father. But he was such a stand-up guy. He rest in peace this day. He died like a few years back. But he still took care of my daughter. He told the judge she could keep my last name. He didn't mind paying the child support. That was still like, that's just how he was there for me. And my daughter, even though he knew this is not his child biologically, but he did not take his name.
How does that make you feel, knowing that he's passed and gone, and this man could have easily said, hell no.
Yeah. He could have told my business. He did not tell my business. He didn't tell nobody. He continued that it was his daughter. At that time, that made me look at him even better. We wasn't even together at this point. He got other kids, but me and him was just friends. We was good friends for a good long time, until I moved to Michigan, and I doubled back and went back with the guy who was her original father. I gave him another chance and messed up that relationship I had with the young man who was actually taking care of my daughter. And when he passed away, that touched me so much, because he was such a good man. He had a lot of kids, but he took care of all his kids. He took care of the community in Gary, Indiana. Everybody know him. That's Kevin Hood. He took care of, he had car washes. He died violently too, where people murdered him, set him up, and killed him. You know, just that's how it was in Gary. You get a head in the game, and people either look at you as either you riding with the police, you're snitching, or you just straight up above yourself, and that people want to take you out. And that part touched me is so bad that it made me change my life when that happened. That's when I became the person I am today, and I started doing meditation more and grounding myself. I volunteer for celibacy for myself because I still made mistakes after I had my first baby. I had 4 kids by the time I was 24, you know, and so I didn't learn because my mom taught me one way, the streets was teaching me the other way. And the streets was eating me up because I was nice. I still had this heart of, I want to help people. I want to be there for people. I had pity sex with men when I was younger that I knew I didn't even like this young man. But he was so kind and good person when nobody else sleep with him. I felt like I needed to. And that was a wrong way of thinking. But that's what I was.
That's what you're familiar with.
That exactly at that time.
When do you change? When do you change what you recognize as norm to positive? You start meditating. First of all, you got to get the hell up out of your environment.
I moved out of Gary in 99. I moved to Michigan. And that was a total big change for me. In 1999, I moved to Michigan. And when I moved to Michigan, I took my kid's father with me. And then at that point, he really wasn't the man for me neither. So now I'm carrying him, my children, and I did all this on my own. I took it upon myself. I worked 2 jobs just to get us up out of Gary, me and my children. I was 24 years old. I moved to Michigan, didn't know nobody. I moved to Kalamazoo, Michigan. I didn't know the city. I didn't know the area. I called a Greyhound. I took my whole family and him down there. It wasn't, he had been brought up when his mother left him when he was young. His father and mother was into drugs. I was lucky when my parents went into drugs, but they sheltered me from what was out there. That's what took me out.
You still got handicapped.
I still got handicapped by being sheltered.
Right.
But my kid's father, not trying to excuse his behavior, but just trying to give a story of his behavior was he came from a broken home, raised by his dad.
You can't change what you don't recognize.
No, you can't change. Yeah, so we went to Michigan thinking we would better the whole situation. We had jobs. We didn't get jobs because in Gary at the time it was no job. So by the time we got to Michigan, we looking for work. We got work. We did go work. We got our own place. We stayed with us for a while. We got our own place. I'm having more babies. Now I'm pregnant with another child of his. In between that baby, he got a baby in Gary. I didn't even know. This all this going on. So I get to Michigan. I'm still trying to be a better person because I was brought up in church, so I knew what was right, what was wrong. I was trying to get my children out of that environment. I didn't want my children to be raised in Gary where I'm going to funerals. I didn't want to take it. They got to the point I wasn't taking my children to funerals. At this point, I don't want them to see all this crying and stuff. So I moved to Michigan. Me and him, we still got the same, coming from that same background. He didn't know no better. He didn't know how to be a man to me. I didn't know how to be a woman to him. Right. My mouth swift. He want to say what he got to say. I'm thinking, you ain't pulling enough weight. I'm taking care of you and these kids. So we arguing back and forth for the kids. We fighting at this point.
So dysfunction is the norm.
Is still the norm.
Yeah.
And I'm still seeing my children. My children seeing this. I talk to my kids because that's what my mom. I was brought up having prayer meeting on Wednesday. On prayer meeting, we discussed what our day, our week was like, and what our family in whole. So I didn't do prayer meeting because church was good, but I kind of was misguided by church. There was too much going on, was confusion. I'm so curious and stuff. I'm paying attention to who all talking and who smiling and who facing. I done jumped all off subject in church a long time ago. So now I'm getting to my kids, so I said I'm not gonna take religion out. I'm not gonna take it out so far. I'm just gonna find the right religion. I was brought up Baptist. There's a lot of noise going on with Baptist. It wasn't common enough for me. I couldn't understand the word. I was too distracted by all the other fanatics and stuff going on. So, and being honest, I think entertainment is funny to me because Baptist church was really funny. It was too entertaining. I used to imitate the pastor, as jokes when I was little. Right. So it was really too much. But when I got to after I got to Michigan and got my kid's father, that didn't work out. We separated. I found out he had a baby on me, and I had a baby after this baby. That was too much. Yeah. So I realized at this point, I got to do this. I got to take care of these kids. I was taking care of him and the kids. So at this point, let me take care of these kids and myself. Take him out the scenario. The law took him out the scenario. Right. We got into a fight so bad. He had been beating on me and Gary. I never called the police on him. One time I got bad. I whooped him. Me and him got to fight and I beat him up. He called the police on me. This how the world worked. They took him to jail, and that's how we separated. That's how the God took him out of my life. And that because I struggle with separating from things that ain't good for me. I keep it around and find the good in that thing. So then I started now. So once I separated that and got myself to raising my kids, I was focused on my babies. I focused on their school. I focused on my oldest daughter. She was such a big help to me because we were 17 years apart. So we kind of were close in age, but not really, 17 years. That's my daughter. But she helped me raise her sisters and brothers. She was a good example to her sisters and brothers. She, by her cleaning up and, Mom, we got to get a schedule. She's still that way today. We got plans and schedules, and she lived like that. And she helped me raise them kids like that. They went to school. They finished school. Once I got my kids to school, I had a death before I get to that. I got with a young man, same environment. I'm from Gary. Everybody know drugs is where we made our money. How my baby daddy made his money, my other kids did. That's how work was small and near. If you had a job, it wasn't paying enough. $5.25 was my minimum wage.
Right.
And that's what they are too. They didn't get us far. You had kids. Most men had multiple kids. They trying to take care of kids. They sold drugs. So I'm used to that. That's all I'm seeing was men getting fast money. I never wanted the fast money. I just wanted to be. I thought that was stable in my head. Having that money was stable. I didn't think about the death and the jail time, the consequences until it hit me. First, I lost my first kids. My second daughter's dad, he got locked up in prison multiple years. They was facing life and a whole bunch of time for narcotics selling, racketeering, gang-related activities. That was in Gary. I done moved from Gary next time. I'm in Michigan. I got a new boyfriend. So I left Gary in 99. My kid's father go to jail probably in 2000, 2022, something like that. A little bit in the 2000, not 2000, maybe, 2001, something like that. They go to jail. 2007, I'm still in that same mindset of the fast money is stable, but I'm applying knowledge to myself. I went to bartending school. I took home health aid classes, CNA classes at the time. I ended up being a home health aide. I went to hair school. I was applying knowledge all the time, raising my kids. It was hard.
But still surrounding yourself.
But still surrounding myself.
Consider norm. So when you get to Indianapolis, how does your life change?
After losing my friend in Detroit, I moved. By the time I'm in Michigan, I got to Detroit going to hair school. I lose a friend. We was engaged to each other. We didn't have no kids together, but he took care of my kids. I helped him with his kids. He had 3, I had 4. That was a blended family. He got murdered in Michigan, and once he got murdered in Michigan, I had to leave Michigan because I didn't know. I had family, but really didn't know that family. And I want to leave that environment now because now I'm scared. For one, I don't know nobody. He was in the Southern Narcotics so bad they was in my house in the basement type stuff. It's a dead case now, but in the basement, back drugs. I'm now at this point. I know they're gonna come back trying to get me out there. They done killed him. They didn't kill him in my home, but away from my home. So I moved. To Indiana. I didn't want to go to. My dad was in Kentucky. I lived in Fort Wayne before. I didn't want to go to Fort Wayne again. My whole family, my dad's side was in Fort Wayne. So I said, I'm going to go. I picked a place in Indiana. I picked the capital. And that brought me to Indianapolis. I lived between my dad and my mom. My mom in Gary. My dad in Kentucky. So I said, I'm going to the middle. I came to the capital, brought my kids here. I had a couple of friends here that they moved from Gary to Indy, so I kind of knew Indy was a good place to find work, good housing, stuff like that. So I came down and I stayed, found my own place, put my kids through school. It was a struggle at first because we came from Detroit. So my kids wasn't used to the diversity that was in Indianapolis, but I liked the diversity from Kalamazoo, Michigan. It was straight diversity in Kalamazoo. My kids loved it. And so I bring them to Indianapolis. They liked it, the school environment as well. So that changed me too, because I was used to seeing black people successful with narcotics, but not successful
in other
areas. So when I got to Indy, I started seeing a lot of that, and seeing people, black-owned businesses, people owning things, and black-owned business in Indy and Gary now, but back then it wasn't so popular. And when I was in Detroit, it was, but it was so familiar of Gary. It was still the same environment. When I got here, though, it changed my mind. It changed my mind so that I wanted to do better. I wanted to build that for myself. I was still raising them kids by myself. I had one son. they labeled him with several different disabilities and things, but I think it was really he just didn't have that male figure neither. By me not having a male figure, I raised my boys sort of the same way my brother got raised, like with no male figure. After losing my fiance, that was a male figure. They seen him die, they cried at the funeral, and that tore me up. So I figured when I got to Indy, I'm gonna do this full throttle. I went in first full throttle before I got with my fiance. I went in full throttle. I'm doing it by myself. I stepped back and said, I'm gonna do it again. This time I asked God to take lustful things from me, lustful feelings and all those things from me. I'm still a human, so I fell off the wagon a little bit, but I remained to keep men out of my children's view. What I'm doing with men, that was gonna be in my kids' face. Right. That was just my business. So I did that part, but I still kind of sheltered my boys a little bit. And I wish I could have changed that because I see the difference in them. If they would have had that male figure, even if it was a friend of mine, I was so. She was so up from the death of my friend, the guy, my baby dead father whooping on me, that I didn't want no man. I didn't trust a man enough to see if he good enough to be in my kids' life, so I didn't introduce him to my kids. I kept them separate.
How do you take, man, this story is like totally impactful. I appreciate you taking the time to come and share such emotion. And how did you take all this and doing what you're doing now? Because you're now a stand-up comedian. How do you take all that pain and put it into comedy and help the individuals to laugh at the pain that you had?
It is still a struggle. It's a struggle, but it's a challenge. Because I know my story is true. But there's some laughter in it because I take full accountability of everything I've been through. Like, I don't blame nobody. Not even my parents, my dad not being there. But it's ways that I feel like through laughter, I can laugh about it. It's things that I did that it was really funny, but I got through it. I persevered through a lot of things. I mean, I went to the skating rink, somebody took my jacket. A lot of people I walked home mad as hell about that jacket. I was mad about that jacket. But that story and stories of things like how people that came to me, I'm still been through all of those things. I still know that there's joy outside of all of that. And through what I've been through, there's somebody that been through worse. And couldn't see themselves to where I'm at, to feel as if I hold no animosity against my kid's father. Right. He never was there for my children, but I'm not to the point where I hate him. Right. I still conversate with him to this day. But it's times that I do break down, even on stage. It's still hard I feel like I'm being judged. I meditate now. The meditation has brought me to a point where I ground myself. And regardless to what I've been through, I know that I'm still gonna shed some light on somebody. Somebody gonna understand. All you gotta do is touch one. Yeah, if I touch one person in the room, I done did my job. It's how I feel. I don't want to be a preacher, and I kind of want to be a motivated speaker, but I still want to find my room, find my way. And I know the young women. I touch a lot of young women, like younger, in their 20s, because I see that's why I started messing up at. I took the time to jump off that porch at 16, but even at 24, I was still lost. And when I found myself I was 39 years old when I actually found Clairissa, who I really am. And that's when I decided I wanted to do comedy. So I sat back and watched, like, let's see how this go. I think I'm funny. People always laugh at what I say. But I didn't know if I could do it. Right. So I kept watching people. So when I got to Indy, Indy is the comedy community is so large spread. Yeah. And there's so many rooms you can go in. There's so many places. When I became a comedian, I watched a young lady. Her name was Aisha, the comedian. I watched her, and the way she spoke and what she spoke of, it kind of reminded me of myself. Like, it kind of put me there, like, I've been through some things like that. And it's kind of funny when you think about it. She twisted it up, and it's funny. But I don't tell my whole truth on comedy, I have certain things got to stay in the closet. Certain things stay in the closet. But I add to it and make it funny. But I think laughter brings a lot of joy to a lot of situations.
How can the viewers reach out to you for booking engagements or just public speaking, or because you definitely have a message? How can viewers reach out to you?
I'm on Instagram. I'm natural as it come. On Instagram. Sorry. I'm Clairissa Beautify on Facebook. And on Facebook, That's my personal page, y'all. I'm gonna fix it in a minute. But it's Clairissa Beautify on Facebook. I'm also into making beautify products. I want to beautify the community through facials and different skin products. I mean, ash your hands. You know, I just want people to feel good about themselves. And so Beautify, Clairissa Beautify on Facebook is more addicted to everything I'm into. Man, it's natural as it come. On Instagram is the best place to reach me. I'm willing to do motivating speaking. I like to speak out to young women. I want to start a non-for-profit. It's hard finding people so that you can trust to do non-for-profit. Everybody get it twisted. I'm not trying to do that. I really want to relay a message to young women that even though I've been through all that, I still persevere to the point where I don't even look at men for money. I don't look at for what they got. I look at for where your mind at, what you capable of, what your drive is you willing to do things that help others, not manipulate people. Everybody using somebody, but I don't want to use nobody. I want to treat people like I want to be treated, and find out how people want to be treated, because that ain't always the way to do it, the way you want to be treated. Because some people don't want to be treated like you. It's rough. Trying to figure that out.
Leave the viewers.
Okay.
Leave the viewers with something positive that you live by every day. You said you meditate, you're going through a lot, and once again, please, thank you for coming on the show and sharing your story. Leave the viewers with something that you live by every day.
Never give up. Never give up is what I live by every day. And don't be afraid to do nothing. Life is short, and we only got one. And so if there's something you want to do, just get out there and do it. Just try it. If you're scared, fear is don't be scared of fear. Fear is good. I challenge it and challenge your fears. Do what you ain't did. Do something. Jump off an airplane. You ain't never did it before. Just challenge yourself. And whatever you've been through, make it a lesson, but not the end. Because it's never the end. You can learn from your lessons. They always blessings. And I live by my life thing is never give up. I will never give up on nothing I set out to do. If I believe it, I can become it. That's what I do. All the time.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show.
Bye, y'all.